It's been another like fucking 10 years since I've done another video, but today I'm free. I used to work at Dairy Queen. Shit job. It helped me get a lot of stuff throughout my early life because I worked there for 5 years, right out of high school. But about 2-3 months ago, I left just because, the things weren't aligning. We'll just leave it at that. While working at Dairy Queen, I had a couple of interesting experiences. One mainly I want to talk about, but there's been 2, maybe 3 where the cops have been like called or I've had to call them. But I'll give you a little backstory. Well, I started there right out of high school and I was in the grill, and pretty quickly I moved up to shift leader, which is basically, you're just the head of the crew, but you're not a boss, But in Dairy Queen's eyes, shift leader means you're doing everything. So the main point I was saying is I'm the shift leader of most of the shifts that I worked. There was this one day I came in. I think it was like a Monday or a Tuesday, and this was like in 2023. I came in around like 4 o'clock. Me and Mikey, we came in. And, we were getting ready we were doing the closing shift. About 20 minutes into our shift, one of our other shift leaders there, he mentioned something to me about this girl sitting in the corner, and just like to keep an eye on her. And, I saw the girl anyway, so when I went in, I clocked in and I went up front because there was no one up front, so I was going to do that. And I noticed that girl sitting in the booth near the window. And he said, yeah, she's been sitting there, just like keep an eye on her. And like, I didn't really think much of it. And I will say about 20 minutes later, around 4:40, so it's been 40 minutes into the shift, the day crew is out, and there's about 3 or 4, at this time, probably about 5 of us that came in for the night shift. And, I'm 23 and my friend Mikey is like 23, so we're about the oldest ones that are there. There's a couple of the other girls that were old, that the same age as us. But most of the kids that worked there were younger. I had like a responsibility to protect them, it felt like. That girl that was sitting in the corner, she ended up like walking out, and I didn't see this part of it, but I'm just assuming. She walked out, she went to her boyfriend's car, and like I said, she had a Stop and Shop uniform on. The Stop and Shop is near Dairy Queen, so I think he was gonna like drive her over to Stop and Shop for her shift. Again, I don't know, I wasn't there during the day shift. But when stuff gets a little crazy is when about 5 minutes later, I'm still up front because I'm waiting for the person to come in to take up my shift so I can put them up front, and then I can go back to being the shift leader. Anyways, this broad comes in the inside of the Dairy Queen through like the side door, screaming for help, that she needs help. She's gonna get stabbed. Then she runs behind the counter towards where I am, like at the register. And I'm not like a mean person, so I was just like, I said, all right. I said, but you can't really be back here like this. I had I think I had Mikey go up front to watch it for me, and I walked this girl through our back room, and I brought her past the office, and I brought her to the back door, and we went out the back door because I don't want her in the fucking store. She was just in like tears, and she was saying that her boyfriend was gonna stab her with a box cutter. And then the first thing out of my mouth was, is this fuck still in like the parking lot? Because this is a serious thing, because I have 15, 16, 17-year-old fucking kids in here, and I gotta take care of it. I felt like I said, I got a younger sister. I felt like I had a duty, and I don't want this psycho guy coming in and stabbing everybody. So what she said was that they were in the car and they were arguing. He was gonna bring her to her shift at Stop and Shop. He had a box cutter and he started stabbing the center console, and she said he aimed to her. I don't know, I didn't investigate her, but from what I saw, I didn't see no blood, and you would have seen it. If you get stabbed with a box cutter, you're gonna bleed. So while she was hysterically fucking crying and shit, I wanted to get her back in the store, mostly because my eyes, I wanted in the store. I wanted to be keeping an eye on everybody, because if shit goes down, it was only like me and Michael that could have done anything at that time, because the rest were all the younger girls. It was like a scary situation in my head when she started talking about this psycho with a blade. So anyways, I say, let's go back in the store. We go in through the back door where I let her out, and I lead her through like the grill area, and I lead her through the front counter, and I sit her down in the dining room behind like a wall, so she's hidden, so if anyone does come in, they won't see her sitting there. The main thing that you could probably already guess, because you're saying probably, why didn't you call the cops? I already fucking knew that, but I wanted to get a little bit of the story because I wanted to be a little detective of my own. So I asked her where he is. We got up. I got up, and I asked her like what color car and like whatever. So I looked out the front of the window of the store, and there was no car match in the description that she said. So then I went back and sat next to her, and I said, well, since he threatened to stab you, I have to call the fucking police. I sit her down. I don't tell her I'm calling the police because she was, oh, don't call, whatever. So I called the cops. I walk around the corner. I explain a little bit to Michael of what's going on, but I don't want that girl to see me. I told Mikey because, like I said, if shit goes down, me and him were the only adults that were in there to protect these fucking kids that were working with us. So I was more worried. I don't want nothing happening to them. As I walked back to, like, behind the counter, I grabbed the house phone, like the landline phone for the store, and I dialed, like, the police department, and this is, like, the third time I probably had to call them. But so they have our little caller IDs probably favorited. I gave them a call, and I was like, yeah, I said, there's some girl came running in here screaming for help, saying she's getting stabbed by her boyfriend with a box cutter, and I have a bunch of kids here, and I don't feel safe if this guy comes in here and God forbid hurts one of the kids. Or I'll take a stab if it means the kids ain't getting stabbed, but I don't want to take a stab. I just wanted this to all get resolved and fucking go on with my miserable shift as it already was. You know, this made it more exciting, but we also could have gotten stabbed. So with a box cutter too, what are you fucking, it's the most white trash shit I've ever heard. Anyways, the main thing that bothered me was, and it's not my business, so when the cop gets here and he came up to me first and he's like, are you in charge? I said, yeah. Said the bills don't say that, but yeah. I gave him the rundown of how she came running in and screaming for help, and that she was sitting here like all day, like the day shift, she was sitting in the corner quiet, and like how she's been hanging around all day. And so something must have been brewing. I just gave him the rundown of how something must have been happening throughout the whole day. Like the once I told him that he had a box cutter and he was stabbing the center console, and I told him, well, I don't want none of these fucking kids getting hurt. And he's like, oh, I understand. And he's like, where is she? And then I pointed it to the corner. And then the cop went over there and sat. And like 2 minutes he was talking to her. I stood there. 2 reasons. One, because I wanted to make sure she was telling him the truth. Make her boyfriend not seem as bad as he was. Which she did. So I was standing there for about 2 minutes listening to the cop talk to her, and he kind of gave me a little look, and I was like, all right. By that look, it looked like he didn't want me in the area. So without him even speaking anything, I saw the look. I said, oh, and I went around the counter. And how the counter is up front is you can there's a wall on your left side, so it covers you from the front door from when people walk in. But it's just a wall, so you could fucking hear right over there. So they were, you know, I wasn't dumb. I fucking sat. I went back up front because, again, it wasn't even 5 o'clock yet. So the up front crew didn't come in yet. So I was still, I told Mikey to go back and grill, and then I went back up front, and I listened over this wall. And the lies and bullshit that was coming out of her mouth defending her fiance, boyfriend, and she said they were engaged. I don't know. Halfway talking to this girl, she just made my brain hurt because she just doesn't learn from her mistakes, you can tell. I just thought it was insane. I knew she was gonna lie. The cop ended up coming back to me and he said that this is all wrapped up, and then they all talked about it. And apparently this kid's been a problem for a while. But yeah, then I signed a couple of paperworks, a couple of things to say I saw everything and all that. And then they were on their way, and that was the last that I've heard of the box cutter fucking story. That wasn't too bad of an experience. Like I said, the only thing was I didn't want no one getting hurt. And thinking of some guy coming in with a box cutter, the way she came in screaming for help, yeah, it sounded fucking scary because it sounded like it was like quite the event. And let me tell you, then it hit, the cop left, and then my shift fucking started because I still had 6 hours left. That was probably the biggest event that I had. Now, if you're watching, take a sip of water. I wish it was beer, but it's fucking not. That was the biggest probably event I had with calling the police at Dairy Queen. But if you enjoyed hearing me rant about a bunch of fucking stories from my shitty job that I had, I say it's shitty. I still miss it. I was there for a good, longer than my high school. The amount of time I was in high school, I was at this job longer than that. So this job was my first job. It was an experience, and this only added to it, you know? There was a lot of shit that went down here. And I'll be willing to talk about it, and we'll call it the Dairy Queen Chronicles. And I quit vaping, so we can't do our little, like, tapping with the vape. So let's tap with the water. See you boys in the next one.